Hi, I'm Rainey Laviolette.
And I'm Andrew Doty. Welcome to this edition of PC Voyage.
Let's go.
We have Jeff Honeycomb from PC Tools. Randy, do you own PC Tools?
Of course. Doesn't everybody?
I certainly hope so.
I don't think there's one person in this room that doesn't own PC Tools. You know, it's got to be the best-selling general-purpose utility package for your PC.
It does a lot of things. It does a lot. And I'm sure Jeff will tell us all about it.
I'm sure he will.
When the time comes. But first up, Chip with the trivia question. Chip?
Here are this week's computer trivia questions. Number 1. What do MEC and DEC stand for? And number 2. Who makes the onboard flight computers for the space shuttle?
Today we have Jeff Honeycomb, Regional Sales Manager from Central Point Software. I get the name right this time. Good evening, Jeff.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Good, good.
So Jeff, let me ask you a question. Your demo, you're actually talking about PC Tools version 8. How long has the PC Tools program been out?
Central Point came out with PC Tools in 1985. Prior to that, our product was Copy2 PC, which was one of the first products to allow you to make archive copies of copy-protected software. And as that whole industry changed, our product line changed. And PC Tools, the first version was in 1985, and we just released version 8 about 3 months ago.
What are some other products from the Central Point software product line that we may recognize on the shelves?
Central Point Antivirus in the last year or so. Actually, last time I came up and saw you two guys, we were talking about viruses. It was the height of the Michelangelo virus, where we had guys like Peter Jennings talking about viruses, and Dan Rather, and you two guys talking about viruses. So that's probably one of our more popular ones. We also make a Central Point Backup, Central Point Commute, and a number of Windows utilities as well.
For somebody that doesn't know what PC Tools is, what is it?
It essentially is a companion that everyone should have on their PCs. As you're putting more and more information on your hard drive, it's probably pretty valuable to you. You're probably putting your home finances on there. Maybe you're doing your taxes on there. Maybe you're creating this nice database from whether you're a church or your organization, and you're putting an awful lot of time into that information that's going on in your system. Unfortunately, you're putting it on a drive, which is a mechanical device, and there's an awful lot of things that can go wrong with it. Not only can the drive have some problems, but power surges, outside sources like viruses, and that's where PC Tools really comes in. We provide you means for protecting the data that's on your hard drive, for making using your hard drive safer, simpler, and also faster. And we do it by a number of different utilities that we'll get into as we get onto the screen portion of the program.
What would somebody expect to get with PC Tools? What kind of utilities?
Probably the biggest reason that people buy it is it's at least this happens to me. It's 5 o'clock on a Friday, or in your case maybe 3 o'clock on a Friday. You're ready to go home, and you want to get that one last file before you get home, and you look and it says file not found. And it's typically the main reason people go out and buy a utility like this, is that they've had some problems either with their hard disk or with a file, and they use a program like ours to undelete a file, to get a file back that's been deleted, to repair a disk, to have it automatically go in there and diagnose maybe problems that are on the disk, make repairs, and pull back your information. It's probably the biggest reason people first initially go out and buy it. But as you go on and use the system more often, it's a easier way for you to get around DOS. It provides some real essential utilities like backing up your hard drive, protecting that information that you're putting on there. and for checking for viruses at the same time, as that whole area has gotten more and more awareness. I think there's over 1,500 known viruses now. A year ago when we sat down here, there was 400 or 500. So it's really increasing at a pretty quick rate, and the threat is getting larger and larger. And that would also be another utility you probably use.
It's an all-encompassing software. I mean, it really just isn't a file move utility or a glorified menu. It does quite a bit more than just that.
It really isn't. What the concept behind CentralPoint PC Tools is give you all the key utilities you need all within one package, and give it to you at an affordable price. PC Tools lists at $179. We give you an award-winning backup package, an award-winning remote communications package, antivirus package, a number of things that you see as far as desktop accessories, as far as calendars and calculators, a caching program, a disk optimization program, undeleting program, goes on and on. If you took a look at the different competitors that are out there, there's programs like Fastback, which is a pretty popular package, which I think is $179 or $189, and all that does is backup. There's recovery utilities like Norton Utilities or Xtree. There's Sidekick, which is another package. There's PCN. So if you take all those and put them together, you're spending $8,000, $9,000, where you get essentially the same thing with a package where the suggested retail price is $179 and the street price is somewhere between $125 and $130.
And considering that you get, the quality backup program, the antivirus program, which is probably the best in the industry, and I'm sure it's one of the most popular ones as well. You get a lot of nice utilities all packaged.
Yeah, it really, some of the nice things, awards that we got was PC Computing this year listed their top 200 products in the computing industry. CentralPoint Backup was the #3 product after a couple of hardware products. So the first software package mentioned was CentralPoint Backup. So it really is an award-winning package, and you get really everything you need within one package. Great value.
In fact, also, most of the utilities like backup and commute and antivirus are sold separately outside of PC Tools.
Yeah, if you're somebody who's really, the only application you ever feel like you ever really want to use is a backup package, we do sell our backup package separately, and you're able to take advantage and use that backup utility without any of the other utilities that maybe you don't have a need for.
As far as the requirements, what's required to operate this piece of software on your machine? Also.
Well, you need a PC, first off, is the first start. You need DOS 3.0 or 3.1 or higher. And besides that, really, not anything at all. We test it on everything from the original owner's XT up to the latest, greatest PCs that are out there, as well as networks.
You mentioned $179 for the full package. What if somebody already owns PC Tools?
It's a great question, and I'm sure there's a lot of PC Tools users out there that we've lost throughout the years. The upgrade cost is $69.95 by calling CentralPoint Software up directly and faxing us your cover page of your manual. We'll be able to upgrade you if we lost you somewhere along the line. For most people that are registered users, hopefully you've gotten something in the mail from us and given an offer to upgrade your system to the latest version, which is version 8.
Well, why don't we get going here and take a look at the product?
Okay, great. This is when you boot up your system for the first time, what you have is a desktop, and everything we'll do now is working out of the PC Tools desktop. What you'll see is a number of different screens, and you can customize this any way you want to. We have your directory structure on your left-hand side. So here's my PC Tools directory. In this case, I'm going to be working out of the junk directory. Over on the right-hand side, I have maybe the files that are in that particular directory, and down at the bottom, I have applications that I can launch. Now, either by using a mouse or by using my keyboard, I can move any of these to any way I want to. Now, Andy probably wants them like this, because he wants to see everything in one shot. But a guy like Rini might want to see it spread out a little bit more so he can really see what's going on. So we can set this up the way I want to. I can resize the screen any way I want to. And just really completely customize it so it's comfortable to the kind of work that you're going to do, save the configuration so every time it comes up it looks like this. What we also have is different applications, and simply by clicking on these applications, I can now come and take these and maybe copy them to another drive, and you can see right here I'm copying 4 files to my B drive or my A drive, or copy them to a different directory, or actually come down here and do different applications off of this as well. In this case, maybe what I might want to do is view these files, and I come down there and I can view these files, and what will happen is, here's my first file that came up, and it just says this is a WordPerfect file, comes up this is a test, launch my next file, and this happens to be a PCX file. I'm able to view this as well. Looks at the next file, and it's another word processing file, and here's a list of quite a few different viewers that we can use, and we can actually view documents without actually going into the application. Everything from word processing files to spreadsheet files to database files. Really is a real time saver as you're going ahead and trying to look at different applications. And if you find an application that a file that you want, you come down here and touch launch, automatically launch, in this case your word processing file, load in this file, and now go ahead and do the kind of editing you might want to do on the system. As well as coming down here, and one of the new features within version 7 is capability for compressing these files. We have a front end to pkzip and unzip. I come down here, choose the files that I want to, give these files a name, and I'll, if I lack anything better, call them Jeff. Come down here, and now I'm going to zip these files in a real easy, quick way to go ahead and compress files, make them smaller, now be able to maybe communicate these over a bulletin board or over email, and here's my file right here, my zip file. So a nice easy way to go ahead and compress and uncompress files.
Can you also view the zip file as well to find out what files are in there?
Well, here's an example. Here's our zip file right here. If we come down and view, what you'll see in the view is you'll see the files that happen to be in that file. I don't want to actually see the actual file, but I certainly can see what files make up that zip file.
So you're using the same view utility as you use to look at the word processing document, to look at any of the other
Right.
Graphic and everything. You just go to the same
Yeah,
click here.
exactly right. And along with that, I can come down here and I have customized keys along here, down the bottom here. And there's 3 different levels of those. So I hit Control, I get another level. And you can see now this is all changed down the bottom, print, hex edit. If I hit Alt, I get another level. And these are all the different things I can do on my system. As well as across the top, I have pull-down menus, which here's everything I can do to a file. I can move a file, delete a file, rename it. Here's everything I can do to a disk. If I want to take a look at a little bit more, here's a directory structure for everything that's happening on my system. So here's a real nice way to see what kind of system, what kind of information I have in my system. It tells me up at the top that I've got a 42 meg hard drive, and I've got it almost 19 meg still available. If I want to go ahead and just real quickly take some of this information, if I touch F7, which is prune, it's now going to take that directory structure, maybe move it someplace else along. So a nice way to do some housekeeping on your system. Even if I have additional drives on my system, you see up here I have an A and a B drive, but if I happen to have a D drive on here, I can take and prune and move that to a different drive at the same time. So a nice, easy way to move around the system.
So that moves directories and subdirectories and all the files in each one of those as well.
And all files. And along with that, if I'm trying to clean things up, I could go ahead and click on a directory and all the files underneath that and touch delete, remove all the files in there, and also at the same time go ahead and remove the different subdirectories. So I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you've gone a couple of ways down your directory tree and then you deleted the file and you get out of it and you said, was it RD and everything else, and you go on and on. Here with just one key, you can just go ahead and delete the files and all the directories at the same time.
Most people get lost if they go that many levels down.
You know, I certainly do. You're absolutely right, though. Most people do get lost. Let me show you some of the utilities that make up PC Tools. We talked about a little bit earlier, and one of the more popular functions is a capability for backing up files. And when we back up files, there's a couple of different ways. We can get into the full backup package, or we'll stick with maybe here's some of the most important files I have on my system. Maybe in your case, you've gone ahead and you've worked on a spreadsheet all day long. And And now you want to make sure after you've worked in this spreadsheet and toiled and put a lot of work on it, you want to make sure you back that information up. Well, if you come up here under Tools, here is Central Point Backup. The interesting thing, one of the unique things with Central Point Backup is we back up many different devices. We back up to floppy disks. We back up to tape devices, Quick 40 and Quick 80 tape devices. We also back up to larger devices, SCSI devices in addition to that. And with one software package, you're able to go ahead and back up to a lot of different devices. If I want to choose backup, and in this particular case, I'm just going to come down here and say what I want to back up to is all my, and I happen to use, now Rainey probably doesn't have this on here, I'm going to use DOC files. These are all my word processing files that I've spent all day working on. And what I want to do is where do I want to back them up from? I'll say I want to back them up from my C drive. And now what happens is the system is going out there and looking for all my DOC files no matter what directory they're in. And you'll see what it's done is it's come down here, it's looked at one drive, because that's all I happen to have on the system. In 6 different directories, I found 11 files. It's going to take one disk, and it's going to take about 2 seconds to back all this information up. If this is something I'm doing on a regular basis, I'm going to call this my word processing. I'll call it my word setup file, and I'll save this. So every time I want to back up just my word processing files, I can just come here, click on Word. It's going to go ahead and make the selections, and it's just going to be as easy now to go ahead and say Start Backup. It's going to ask me for a description, and I'll say Daily Backup. I could put a password in here if I wanted to put a password, and I probably need to put a disk in here at the same time. Now, can you help me with that?
Sure.
Well, he is good, isn't he?
I put the drive so far away from you.
I know. So we come here, and one of the interesting things, she said the first thing it did is it scanned for viruses. Now, we have the system, if you spend the time to back it up, it might also be a great idea to check for viruses at the same time. So we went ahead and we checked for viruses, the first thing it did. Now it's taking those files off my system, putting them on, in this case, a diskette, but it could be a tape, it could be a hard drive off of your network, and it's done. So now I have my most important files on this disk right here. So if something happens to my system, I can still get that information back. Now, do you two back up on a regular basis?
Absolutely.
Of course.
All the time? And what package do you use?
Use a Colorado tape backup
Central Point.
with Central Point backup.
Jeez. Okay.
He asked the wrong question. I was anticipating a question.
Yeah. Okay. Now, that was the backup utility. Another thing that we have, and what happens an awful lot of time is one of the main reasons people buy a package like this is they've deleted something by mistake. Something's gone off their system. And let's get to something that might be important to me. And let's get right to here, and let's take my auto exec file and my config sys file. I'm going to take these 3 files and I'm going to delete them. This is your system?
Yeah.
So this isn't the problem. We'll come down here and delete these. I'll delete all those files, and you take a look, my auto exec's gone, my config sys is gone, and if I try to reboot this system right now, I'd probably have a mess, right?
Jeff, I think Randy stopped breathing here.
Did he?
How are we going to get him back, Jeff?
Well, hold on. We'll pull these back right away.
Did that sound fake or what?
We'll come down here, and one of the utilities that comes with this is an undelete utility. Now, under undelete is that those files are actually been intercepted, put in a hidden subdirectory, and we're now able to pull those information back. Now, if we come down here, here's your auto exec file, and here's the config sys file. You'll see the condition of them is perfect, the size of them. Comes down here, and it actually tells me when it was deleted, the delete time, what protection method it has, and this is delete century, and this file can be 100% undeleted. I even can come down here if I'm not sure which, because you might have a number of auto exec files, I come down here and actually view these at the same time. So using the same viewer that we looked at earlier, I can look at this viewer again and see different files, and even though they're undeleted files. Now if I want to go ahead and undelete that, I choose F8. You'll see those 2 files, and you notice right up here have been recovered. I get back into my directories tree, and hopefully I'll find that auto exec and that config sys right back in there. And here's auto exec right here, and there's config sys somewhere around there.
You undeleted the wrong file, but that's okay.
I deleted it, but it's back. So that's probably in fact, we probably want to go back and get that for you, don't we?
He won't mind.
Don't worry about it.
So that's one of the biggest ways. Now, some things that tend to be maybe a little closer to home is, we get back to that word processing file. If I took that word processing file, in my case, it's a package called WP test. And let's take a look at this. Here's WP test that I've spent an all day long typing on. Let's first of all take a quick view of it, and it looks kind of garbled. Now let's go ahead and let's try to, I have WordPerfect on here. Here's WordPerfect. Let's go ahead and launch just by simply dragging over that, the WP test file over to WordPerfect. It's going to go ahead and load up WordPerfect. After it loads up WordPerfect, it's going to come up here and try to load up that file. And it says incompatible file format, and I can't load up that file. And if, you know, it just absolutely drives you crazy. So we've added some nice things. If I can remember how to use WordPerfect.
F7.
F7, and I keep on getting that.
Hit the shift key.
I got my num lock on.
Hit the shift key. I think it's the stuck shift key. Tap the shift key hard. Tap the other one. Now try it. There we go. Those stuck keyboards will get you
That's
everything.
get a little something special.
I think they should send something in PC Tools that helps you, you know.
Unstick your keys.
Yeah.
We've got a program here called File Fix. And what happens a lot of times is files sometimes lose where they really are in the hard drive and lose their pointers with that. And we've got a capability of going in and fixing corrupted DBase files, Excel files, Lotus 123 files, Paradox, Quattro Pro, and in this case, WordPerfect. If I choose WordPerfect here, here's the document I'm having a problem with. I'll say OK. First it looks at the disk to make sure the disk is in good shape. Then it will come up and it will tell me, here's the name of the file. And I'm just going to, just so I can remember what it is, I'll call it fixed.doc. Now it's going to go through it and repair that individual file, so hopefully we can use it again. And went through that pretty quickly. Next thing, it's going to come up and ask me if I want to view that file after it's fixed it. Okay. Do you want to view the fixed file? I'll say sure. And here's that file. Remember we viewed it before, couldn't really see it at all. And there it is all back and working. And if I go through here and exit out of this program, I can actually now take that file again and drag it back over to WordPerfect. If I can, here's fixed right here. Drag it over to WordPerfect, and now hopefully we'll go ahead and load that WordPerfect application, at the same time load that file up and off ready to go. Save it. Printer wasn't
There you
found,
go.
but there's my file up and going. So
Great.
I'll even go through and repair files for you.
What about optimization? I know that Central Point has an excellent optimization utility built into this.
Okay.
How important is that?
It's becoming increasingly important for a couple of reasons. First of all, you have a number of PCs that maybe you've had for years, and you've put on applications, you've taken applications off, and it's now you're noticing the system's starting to slow down a little bit. Now you're noticing that it's harder and harder to get things done in your system. The compression utility or defragmenter will go ahead and clean up your hard drive, will go ahead and revitalize your hard drive, and make it faster and get it back to hopefully close to the original state. Also, for the people that have newer systems, there's some nice programs out there like database programs. There's some nice programs out there like Windows, which do a great job of fragmenting up your system. And
Very
actually,
easily.
they pretty much recommend that you do frag your system. So very easily by just coming in here and choosing disk optimization, the system goes through in the same type of approach. Analyze your system for you, tell you how fragmented it is, and gives you a little map, which we see here, and it tells me here I've got a 1% fragmentation factor, and you can go from there.
All right. Gee,
Great.
Thanks, Jeff. I mean, he always puts on a good demo for us, doesn't he?
I know.
He does a
I know.
great job.
No tough questions this time?
Now we spared him. We were nice. to him
No,
this
no,
time.
we won't ask you anything about Peter Norton. We won't ask you anything about that at all, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
And
brother.
remember that PC Tools is available in just about any software store in the area. So if you don't have it, make sure you run over there and pick it up.
Okay.
And thanks for
Jeff.
stopping in, Jeff.
Thanks for having me over.
And next up, Chip with the trivia answer.
Here are this week's computer trivia answers. Number 1. NEC stands for Nippon Electric Company. DEC stands for Digital Equipment Corporation. And number 2. The Space Shuttle's flight computers are made by IBM.
As always, if you send us your questions, suggestions, or comments about PC Voyage, you could be eligible to win one of many software products.
Thank you, Vanna. Now, which ones do we have here, Rainey?
Well, can't you read? We have 386 to the max, that wonderful Central Point antivirus, it was a Stacker, Scrapbook Plus, Quick In for Windows, QuickBooks, and Untouchable. We also have some passes to the Computer Museum in Boston, and Russ Walter, The Secret Guide to Computers.
Well, while you're in Boston, you might have the opportunity to see.
As we ran into him, that's out there. So remember, send us your questions, suggestions, or comments, and
Here's Chip with the address.
If you have any questions, or if you have any comments about the show, please write to us. Our new address is PC Voyage, P.O. Box 10486, Holyoke, Massachusetts 01041. We appreciate hearing from you. Watch for PC Voyage weekly on your local community access channel.
You know, Rainey, I wonder if PC Tools would make Chip any better. Maybe we should get him a copy, huh?
you know, the words shoot and chip were in the same sentence tonight. I don't know what that means, but
Terrible,
hopefully.
terrible.
Hey, have you seen this thing? Yeah, this is, you know, everybody's heard of After Dark, and they have a flying toaster. Well, this is a mock-up of it. You know, but it can't be a very good product. It doesn't fly.
And on that note, I'm
It
Andrew
doesn't
Doty.
fly. And I'm Rainey Laviolette.
Until next week.
It doesn't fly.